Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day and best night, whatever time. For me, it is currently 1:48 in the morning, and I just finished watching Frenemies number 7, and I have written all my notes about it, and we are going to talk about it. So if you're not aware, we are currently doing a series on my channel where we are going through and reviewing the Frenemies series, debacle, however we can describe it, with Trisha and Ethan, and it's very interesting going back and watching the episodes in theory and kind of knowing what we know now, kind of reviewing it in that way, and we're going to be continuing it. We're on episode 7, like I said. Now, this episode was quite possibly one of my least favorite yet, and the reason for that has nothing to do with Ethan and Trisha. It actually has to do with the fact that this episode includes Dr. Drew. Now, Dr. Drew, this is not a safe space on this YouTube channel for Dr. Drew, and it never has been, and it never will be, and he's not a friend of this channel. Dr. Drew, to me, whenever he came on the Frenemies episodes or they quoted him in some way, it was very awkward. He had a clear bias, he was incredibly unprofessional, and this episode was really the first introduction of him, and he's just so he's really unprofessional, and we're gonna get into it, and I have reasons for why I'm thinking like this, but the main one, if I'm being honest, is just that he seems to baby Trisha Paytas. And I don't think he's doing it intentionally. I think he just doesn't want to argue with Trisha, and he doesn't want Trisha to kind of retaliate against him. Like, he's in there to do his job, you know, kind of analyze their friend group, and it's easier to go against Ethan and side with Trisha rather than the other way about, because then he would be there for a lot longer. But this just makes it really uncomfortable to watch because, and we're going to show all the clips as well, but anything Ethan says, he will cut him off, he will disagree with him, he will make some sort of reference on how he's wrong, and when Trisha speaks, he lets her speak for minutes on end without interruptions. He will, whenever at the end, be like, that's really good, and this is why Trisha's thinking like this, and this is why, whenever Trisha clearly wasn't thinking like he was, but then Trisha's like, yeah, that makes sense, that's exactly how I was feeling, but he's like speaking for her to kind of make it as easy as possible for Trisha, and I just think that they should have invited any other therapist on rather than Dr. Drew, because he really didn't do a good job at this. Now, to kind of show you how Ethan and Trisha look in this episode, they are as each other. We have Ethan as Trisha Paytas and Trisha Paytas as Ethan Klein. So we can see that Trisha is in the Teddy Fresh and that Ethan is in the full hurrah with tits and everything. And this episode is called Couples Therapy with Dr. Drew. Now, this episode has 3.2 million views, and we're just going to get into my notes. Okay, so the first thing I've said is, as we're aware, this podcast starts with Trisha dressed as Ethan and with the Teddy Fresh, and Ethan dressed as Trisha, and that this is their final Halloween episode. Now, Trisha immediately starts ranting, and by the way, Dr. Drew is, like, on the call since, like, the start of the podcast. Like, he is on it from, like, the get-go. Like, as it starts, he's there on the Zoom call, and you can kind of, like, hear him breathing, and, like, then he introduced himself, but he's here from the start. So Trisha immediately starts ranting at Ethan for everything at the show being, you know, on his time, and nothing ever being accommodating towards her. She says that she's had to wait around for every single person on the team, including Ethan, for every single podcast now, and that Ethan is using her hair, makeup, and costume people, and that for them to be able to do both of them at the same time, they have to do Trisha at 5 a.m. and then do Ethan whenever it, you know, fits his schedule later on in the day. And Trisha's saying that this is all stemming from Ethan kind of was saying, like, you know, you're really angry that, like, I'm one-upping you and my costume is better than yours yet again. This kind of set Trisha into a rant of, like, yeah, well, you can think yours is better because yours was done an hour ago and mine was done 12 hours ago. And I can see where Trisha's coming at that and, like, frustrated about the fact that you've had to, like, sit around in a costume all day and you're, like, sweating it off and, like, her mustache is falling off and stuff like this. But that's on them. That is on Trisha. She was the one that gave Ethan her team. That's her fault. If she has any complaints about it, like she does, she should get Ethan a new team. So everything she's complaining about has an easy solution. She says again, like, she got, you know, so much done within the time it took for Ethan to be ready to even get into the costume, like filming TikToks, YouTubes, etc. to just pass time. However, Ethan combats this by saying that Trisha was actually late to the show. Like, so she's complaining about, you know, her entire day was pushed back, but she was still late to the show. So he's like, shut the fuck up. So they introduced Dr. Drew, who's on the show, as we're aware, And he opens with, we have a lot to talk about already and a lot of issues to work through. So that's him just analysing them for the 3 minutes that they've spoke so far, you know, since he's this great therapist. Trisha mentions that she loves Dr. Drew, gets in there automatically with a compliment to get on his good side, and has worked with him only publicly, by the way, like not behind the scenes from any that I'm aware of, through her issues such as things as like DID, EDs, transgender issues, sex addiction, etc. And then Trisha says, I can be on whatever show he wants me to be, basically making a joke about the fact that she struggles with a lot and she can fit any mold of like, if there's an addiction for this, she'll have it and be on any show, which is just a really weird thing to say in a serious context of having a therapist on, like you're saying, oh, I can fit any mold of mental health struggles just to be on a TV show to get fame. But I think that that is something that we're aware Trisha's done in the past. Now, Trisha has said that she has gone to a lot of therapists and continues to go to therapy every single week with a bunch of different therapists. Now, I called this out in the moment and I will call it out again. Trisha says this, and whenever she would fight with Ethan, she would say, you know, I've been working through this in therapy, so please forgive me, all these different things, whatever. But whenever I've rewatched Frenemies, the only ever therapist advice that Trisha ever mentions is stuff that Dr. Drew has told her. And I'm like, Dr. Drew does not give good advice, sorry. So if Trisha's going to all of these specialist therapists, why is every time she's saying, I got something in therapy, Dr. Drew told me, you wouldn't, if you're going to great therapists and going to all of these different ones, you wouldn't have to always, for like episode 1 to episode 40 of Frenemies, always mention things Dr. Drew has told you behind the scenes on Twitter DMs. Like, that is not you, in my opinion, and I don't mean to speculate, but going to therapy ever with any other one if you're just living your life off of advice Dr. Drew has given you, who's not even a good therapist in my opinion. I've always kind of speculated about that, but I'm not going to do it today, I'm just going to say it. And I've literally written down a note, Dr. Drew is such a joke. I've written, Dr. Drew keeps making reference to how Ethan is finding too much joy in playing with a wig and having makeup on. So he's basically implying that Ethan is not wanting to be a man anymore and wants to be a woman because Ethan has fully transformed into, you know, having the boobs and having, you know, like the dress on and the hair. And it's like, for Dr. Drew to, later in this episode, be like, you know, who people come to about gender identity. He's like pushing his own, you know, stuff onto Ethan right now by implying, basically at a bare minimum, that a man cannot just dress up as a woman and it be a costume, or dress up as a woman and it has nothing, you know, underlying that they want to transition, or underlying that, you know, that's he's literally like pushing it, like if you wear makeup, oh, you're enjoying being a woman too much. But then later in the episode, he talks about the fact that he's like who people go to about gender identity, and Trisha goes to him because he's the best at it. And I'm like, you wouldn't be saying that if you're the best at it. And Ethan is basically saying that what he's saying is stupid and he's just committing to the costume. And I'm glad that Ethan actually doubled down on that. Dr. Drew said to Trisha about the transgender issues that she had spoken about, and Trisha also about the gender identity issues she had spoken about. And Trisha says that she struggled with her gender identity because she loves looking like a guy, and that was the reasoning that she gave. Dr. Drew implies that Ethan, I'm messing up all my words. It's 4 minutes to 2 a.m. Please be generous. I couldn't wait until tomorrow to film this video because this episode I just want to rant about Dr. Drew. I just want to rant about him. So Dr. Drew ignores what Trisha says and implies again that Ethan has a boner while they're filming this because he's dressed up as a woman, and Dr. Drew can see that Ethan is enjoying it a little too much. So already at that, he's implying a negative connotation. He's enjoying it a bit too much to dress up as the other gender, but yet apparently you're the person people should come to when they're struggling with gender identity. I don't think so. And gladly, Ethan was actually doubling down on the like, this is really weird that you're saying all this, and I'm glad Ethan is a straight man saying that. Alright. Ethan says that Trisha starts most of the fights because of underlying jealousy, that Ethan looks better in the costumes every single week, and, you know, he tries harder than Trisha, and Trisha has a problem with this. So they're opening up now to Dr. Drew about where most of their fights start from, and Ethan says that he believes that's the reason. Trisha says again about how her hair, makeup, and costume people come to her at 5 a.m. and then, you know, go to Ethan whenever it fits him, so she's waiting around all day. Ethan looks fresh in the costume, whereas she looks like crusty and dusty. And then we go on, and Trisha says that she loves Ethan, and that she feels that she has like a soul connection to Ethan Klein. However, she believes that the show is bad for her mental health, gee, you think? And Dr. Drury says that Trisha starts most arguments with Ethan, blaming him for something, and that that's an issue. And that she shouldn't be doing this, and she should be speaking more freely with him rather than everything is an attack. Which is one of the only moments, by the way, that he gives Trisha any forms of criticism. And I've written again, Dr. Drury is a joke. So he just continues to allow Trisha to double down on hateful things she said against Ethan, and he just writes it off as, oh yeah, she was just going through it that day. But then he'll call Ethan out on something he's done and then not allow him any reason to even explain it. It was really weird. Ethan discusses how he and Trisha first interacted with the Instagram versus reality video. Now, by the way, this entire episode is so frustrating to watch because Dr. Drury doesn't even give Ethan ever a chance to explain his opinion on things. And instead just trashes him and 100% agrees with what Trisha says. Like, there's no even question about the bias here. And I remember in the moment there were a lot of people calling Dr. Drury out for this. Ethan says that he believes a lot of people on social media are fake, and it makes young people with developing minds insecure and hate themselves because they're seeing these very beautiful people on social media who've, you know, edited it, like face-chinned it, and they deserve to be called out. But he says he was wrong about Trisha because Trisha is upfront about editing pictures and what she looks like really. Ethan apologizes to Trisha, and Dr. Drury, this is one of my, like, this makes me really fucking angry because I hate when people cut me off. Ethan goes to apologize to Trisha. Mid-apology, Dr. Drury literally interrupts the sentence to tell Trisha that Ethan is apologizing to her, which she goes, yeah, I know. He interrupts Ethan, and then whenever Trisha accepts the apology, he goes, Trisha, that was Ethan's apology. I know that you were moved by that. Let's talk about it. Do you accept it? So after then Trisha's accepted it, he tries to like break down something like they're agreeing on, and he's just like, anything Ethan did, Dr. Drury was not okay with. And it just made it really awkward and weirdly intense to watch. Alright, and then we go on, and it makes just everything really fucking awkward and makes the conversation just so not fluid in any way. And he's so goddamn annoying is something I've written. Okay, so I have the first timestamp that we're gonna get to right now. It is 20 minutes and 15 seconds. Alright, okay, let's get to this, okay? Alright.
Dogpiling on Trisha, saying like that she's basically the criticism was that you're using trans issues to basically get attention for yourself and to make money.
Yeah.
So you lost on both sides, right? People who are critical of trans issues and the trans allies both attacked you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my trans friends were supportive of me, as was my therapist. You know, they were pretty supportive. So I would say
who's the therapist, Dr. Drury?
The allies. It's more like cis people being like, fuck this bitch, you know, or a lot of like gay guys too. But
wait, cis? No, I think trans people were angry.
No, a lot of my
Let's see the video. Do you have a video there?
Yeah, we'll go.
Okay, so again, Dr. Drury is just allowing Trisha to lie to him here. She's saying that transgender people had no problem, and the transgender community, the non-binary community, anyone in the queer community had no problem with her coming out as transgender in that video right after her posting a video coming out as a chicken nugget. So she's openly lying as well and saying that it was only people like Ethan had a problem with it. That's not the truth. I don't know why she's just openly allowed to lie.
Dude, trans people were definitely...
I can name three that were so supportive. Blair White, La Demi.
Well, those are people you...
So Ethan goes, no, that's you're not telling the truth. Like, trans people were not accepting of that video. And Trisha's response is, no, I can name 3 transgender people who were accepting of it. And names Blair White, who, by the way, was not, and was calling Trisha out as well. But again, Dr. Drury has nothing to say about that.
No.
Exactly, they know me.
Yeah, but they're just being nice.
I did a video, and I don't know if it's still up, I think it is, where I wanted to be referred to only as T because I didn't know, I didn't feel like I identified as a girl. Now, this seems like crazy and weird and shocking because I was born as
Now, previously, just to give context, you've also made videos coming out as a What other
Chicken
you make
nugget.
videos coming out as like a cheese puff or some shit? What was
Well, when I was like heavy on drugs, I like would say I'm a chicken nugget, which is clearly
Trisha
it wasn't
came out
like
as
this
a
video.
chicken nugget.
This video, I'm sober. I'm on tour. I'm like coherent. The other ones, my pupils, everything's like I'm obviously
Okay.
fucked up in those videos.
Okay, Trisha says that as well, but if we compare the timelines around this time, whenever she was starting to get with Jason and, you know, with Jason, she also says that she was, you know, using during that time as well, which was why she, you know, crashed her car into Jason's house and all these different things as well. So, like, her timeline never really completely ever adds up. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but regardless, you did make a video.
I'm not
coming
saying
out
that
as a chicken
she was high in this video or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, her timeline is always all over the place.
Sit down one. It wasn't like using personal things. Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I did online for a long time. It's just
So people didn't take her thing seriously.
and I understand that. That I understood completely. I get why people didn't. It just
Just to
hurt
give you
that
some
it did.
important context.
Okay.
There. But you can't really come out as a chicken nugget.
I didn't come out as a chicken nugget. It was a spoken word poetry when I was fucked up on meth, and I was like, "Hey, today I woke up feeling like a fucking chicken nugget, y'all." Like that's what it was, and I was like so fucked up. If you watch the video, completely different than this video where I'm like sitting down, like, "Hey, I have something like I want to say. Like this is like on my chest. It's been on me for a while." And there's been tons of videos of me talking about penis envy, about me wanting to be a boy, not wanting to be Trish, like all this stuff. And there's been multiple videos that I talked about this and expressed this, and this one just, I guess, triggered people because everyone wanted to hate me last year, including H3, Nikocado, PewDiePie. Everyone attacked me, all these people. So it just was the year of hating Trish last year.
So here's the deal with.
I don't really think that's the best way to describe getting criticism as well, for people not being able to trust what you are openly saying because you've been known to troll, that it was just that people wanted to hate you. And again, Dr. Drew has no problem with her saying this. And we are now going to watch him just defend her. So, like, no even different points of view of, like, you know, looking a bit further into the timeline she's talking about, or other grips she has, you know, came out as, or trolled, or anything. No, none of that with Dr. Dre, because why would it?
People declare things on drugs, everybody. They're on drugs.
Thank
right?
you.
They're fucked up. Let's just leave it at that. Do not try to interpret
Well, hold
what
on
people
there,
are saying.
Dr.
during
Drew.
our
What
drugs.
about people who are drunk and say things like,
No, they're on drugs. That's a mistake. Go, oh, their true feelings coming out. No, that's the person on drugs. Now,
Really?
there may be some de-repression. There may be some things coming out that they wouldn't otherwise speak. But the way they speak and the way they speak about it is somebody on drugs. So give them a chance, if they've revealed something, to come back around and talk about what's really going on. And your brain isn't integrated. Your whole self isn't there when you're loaded.
so you're getting a pass from Dr.
It's not
Drew?
a pass, but
on
like
the
if you
chicken
watch, if you
nugget?
pull that video up, it's so
I'm
clear
saying
on
that
drugs.
the two things are not really related. So the chicken
Got it.
nugget thing is
Okay.
Trish on drugs. And what I'm seeing here in this...
But there's so many
this video
other
we're watching
instances
right now,
other
is
than the
what we talked
chicken
about
nuggets
earlier, is that
too, but he's not going to say that.
Identity is you know, not fully crystallized, right?
Now, also, another thing was, Trisha said that this video was just her trying to be open when she came out, and all these different things, and that she made no money off it, because why would she make money when she's just telling her truth? And it was actually Ethan and Hila on their podcast exposed the fact that Trisha accidentally showed them that she had made thousands of dollars on this video, so she had lied about that. So it's like, she's just such an untrustworthy person at all costs, and made so much money from all of these different videos.
Your identity generally, and of course that kind of bleeds over into gender.
Let's go ahead and continue the video, Ian.
You know, stuff like that. But that's why I identify more as like a gay man, because I like guys, but I also identify as a guy. The thing that kind of like stops it is I do love, which a lot of gay men do too, I do love like glam and voluptuousness. So in my head, I feel like I'm a transgender female to male, but also like a drag queen. That's kind of how I've like.
That is exactly right.
Because
So
like,
also,
let me just.
Ian.
That is exactly right. She's a gay, I identify as gay male drag queen. That is exactly what that is.
And you don't think
Right. I think your construct is exactly correct. Whether or not that's your firm, you know, forever identity, I don't know. But that's what you're describing, which is I don't really feel like a female, but I feel like a female cross-dresser.
Right.
I like all the female stuff, but I identify as sort of a gay man. Now, the question is, are you attracted to gay men?
So yeah, I
Because a
dated
gay
a
man would be Way to be attracted to gay men.
Yeah, I dated.
She's dating a straight man.
Well,
currently.
right now I am, but I dated a gay man for 2 years. I was very public, you know. So I
dated a gay man.
How did you guys navigate that? How did you?
Yeah, how does that work for him?
And that's, I think, a lot of people, like, I mean, he would say he...
I'm asked this as just strictly curiosities. And if it's not,
are you saying, like, sexually, like, intimately?
Yeah.
What, how did you, it's a navigation, right? And so it's an interesting, we're all like, how'd you do that? It's
well, we were definitely friends, and I was like, oh, you're definitely gay, and he's like, he goes, well, but I'm like, I like you, and I was like, well, I don't know, so then we just started, like, hooking up within months into our friendship, and then realizing that we're like dating, that's what we're doing. And it was hard, and that's the ultimate demise. The internet was like, he's obviously gay, Trish. And the thing was, is like my energy and just like day to day, I mean, I've always dated feminine guys. Like, I feel like
Okay, I think she's talking about Sean there, but I'm not aware, but I know that Sean was the partner that she basically got the entire internet to allegedly speculate that he was gay. Oh my god, I literally just looked at myself in the viewfinder and was like, what is on my arm? Completely forgetting about the fact that I had tattoos. I literally, for a brief moment in time, if people are out there wondering if you ever do that, mentally I almost just forgot I had tattoos and I was wondering what the fuck was on. I genuinely thought it was a club stamp. You know when you enter like a club or a bar? I was like, what is that? I was like, oh, I have tattoos! Anyway, I think this was Sean, because Sean was her boyfriend. Well, I mean, she did it with, like, all of her boyfriends, getting the entire internet to speculate that they were gay, because apparently she deems it as something to be embarrassed by. Which is why she does it to try to humiliate them. Thanks, Trish. But anyway, yeah, it was, Sean, so... Or maybe she's not talking about Sean, but Sean was definitely one of her boyfriends that she did this the most to. I just feel like dating Trisha Paytas would be a nightmare because you're waiting for that weaponizing moment. Okay, then they discuss the walkout from one of the last episodes and Trisha weaponizing Ethan's pill use. And Ethan says how he used pills on the weekends whenever he was working at his dead-end job. It wasn't an addiction, but he would do it every single weekend. So if he's classing that as an addiction, but it was not every single day the way Trisha was describing it. And Trisha states that she never thought that he was a pill addict the way she said, but she just wanted something to say to weaponize against him. Completely normal to say. Anyway, so then we're going to get to yet another timestamp. So, again, throughout all of this, please just beware that Dr. Drew is just taking everything Trisha is saying like it's fact, and like it's, you know, the full 100% deal, and when Ethan will say anything, he'll be like, Trisha's not done speaking. And it just really pisses me off. Really pisses me off. Okay, anyway, the next timestamp.
So, that was harsh.
Okay, let's get to this.
Your sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trish, here's the thing. It's really hard to be as open as Trish is. Okay?
True.
And you could argue that you're so open, Trish, that you don't really kind of perceive boundaries normally.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Is that true?
You knew you were being a bitch.
No, can I just say...
Hold on. Don't start with the you stuff. Stop it. I'm wondering...
See, he wouldn't do that if it was Trisha, but just because it's Ethan can't even respond.
Perceived by me that you knew you were being a fucking bitch.
Here, can I say, like hindsight, I looked back and I was like, oh yeah, that was fucked up. But Ethan, for all the shows, I don't think we had any boundaries between us. He calls me fat. He tells me my boyfriend shouldn't be with me. I shouldn't have kids.
Correct.
Like,
That's what I want to say.
And
you guys play with that, and Trisha can't do that.
Anything Trisha says, he's like, correct. There's two sides.
She can't really perceive boundaries. It's
He
just
said you
all
can't
out
do
there.
that.
It's all open. Well, you can do it, but you can't expect her to magically know where to draw the line.
But can I also say, he has no boundaries with me. He can say whatever he wants about me. The minute, like, there was an issue. This is a whole different issue, but I had an issue with my boyfriend, which is his brother-in-law, with private DMs. He exposed all these private things. So
about her
no
punching
boundaries when it
Moses.
comes to me.
No, I get
but
it.
as soon as I bring up something private with him,
That's a lie.
then what triggered me was he's like, whoa, you're weaponizing. Oh my God, you're being a
Yeah, I never
crazy now.
weaponized anything.
No. You told me I was weaponizing when all of a sudden I thought that was our relationship, just saying whatever, just everything's out in the open. So I was like, okay.
That's what I thought. So she's confused. It confuses her to not know where you're supposed to draw the line. Right?
Yeah, I was shocked.
But don't you see why me now would never say anything like that to you in private?
I can see that, but the same thing. You read private text messages I sent only to you.
Hold on. Ethan, not saying things in private to her because of that does not make you an open person, right? You can't say I'm totally open about everything, but I can't trust you, so I'm not going to be open. It's okay. You don't have to tell everybody everything, but don't claim that you're wide open and telling your...
Okay, but he has an issue with Ethan saying he's wide open. He's getting technical about Ethan saying it, but not about any of the things Trisha has just been lying to him about. Muckers, please let me know if you're picking up on the clear bias here as well. It's fucking crazy.
Everything. She's the one that's really wide open. Too much so, right?
I agree. I do agree with that.
I've seen her naked. She's way too wide open.
So he can call me crazy. He can do all this stuff, and it's fine. Like honestly, because I have a lot of I went to a mental hospital last year. Like I have a lot of issues, and so and calling me crazy.
Let's talk about that word.
Yeah.
How do you? Because you feel it like it's a negative, like a pejorative, right? Because there's a way to own it, like the word addict or junkie.
Sure.
You just use it in comedy. You can do that.
I use it.
Take the energy out of it.
We've called each other crazy so many times, and then all of a sudden it was a problem.
Not a trigger.
Right.
But then when you were like, I'm open, and I'm like, oh, are you? And you're like saying, I'm open. So then I'm like, well, what about this? And you brought up stuff about me in private, so I thought it was okay to do it. So the minute you say, wow, I can't believe you would do that, I was like, what are you talking about? You just talked about all my personal shit.
There's things you've told me in private that I would never bring out, that you've told me about certain things about your relationship
The thing you brought up about Moses was really, really personal. It's really damaging to this day in our relationship. It was not public.
Yes, it was.
Moses,
everybody said...
Trisha is straight up lying here. This is public information. The text messages with Moses were public information because they weren't messages to Trisha. The bruise photos on Moses that Trisha had left him was public information that was already out there. So the fact that Ethan can't even defend himself without it now being turned around on Ethan being the worst in the world is so fucking fucked up.
Not public.
What are you guys talking about specifically?
The arm thing.
How did people get photos of it? I didn't put that out.
After you said it on the podcast, that account was like, now that it's out on the podcast, I'm going to post these photos. My boyfriend got catfished by someone, said something about an altercation we had that nobody knew. Ethan brought it up on the podcast. That makes me look like I'm a domestic abuse, like I'm a person that hits my partner. And like...
Well, I mean, did you hit him?
That was out in the open, and we even said, Moses, like, stop, cut it. We're like, don't put that in the thing. What does he do? He puts it in the fucking thing.
Wait,
it was never fucking public.
Well, maybe you shouldn't hit him.
I agree, but that is something that is so fucking personal that you said, and we're like, please edit it out. It was a fucking weak moment, and our relationship will never get past that, and I even tell him that. Now everyone thinks I'm a fucking, like, a man beater and shit like that because of you.
Because of Ethan? They think that? Or because of the photo of his arm. Okay.
And it's fine. It's fine. But don't think I'm weaponizing. It is. Ethan, you are the one who said it. And you're like, everything. But you're he said while he was here, everything can be said. And I'm like, yeah, because I thought that was our relationship. So the minute I say something about your pill thing.
Wait, hold on. Before I said it, I said, I was like,
pill thing. But she admitted that there is no pill thing.
And she said to me,
hey guys,
everything.
Hey, let's navigate these waters carefully, or Trisha's going to have another episode of Walking Out.
I just get frustrated.
So let's navigate carefully, right? Take a breath. So we don't want to get to the point where we have another episode of Walking Out.
I know I am fine for real. It's frustrating when he's like, no, it's already out there. When Moses and I both know it wasn't. I didn't know that's what he was going to say. We have the ability to edit things out, and he didn't. Just like the pill thing, you could edit it out.
I get it, but you guys but this is a problem. This is the problem of a show like this, where you're playing with being totally out there with everything, when there are a few things that maybe not. And you guys got to be very clear with. Can you both agree that at least attempt going forward that when there are things that should not go out, you'll both agree these things don't go out?
Or just edit it out too if it goes too far.
Let me say, because you guys just left and it seemed like you were fine with it being open. If you stayed and were like, can you cut that out?
2 things.
I would have done that.
We did ask you to cut out. You're like, no, we're leaving this in. Fine.
No,
fine.
I didn't say that.
Fine. Yes, you did. You did say that. You're like, no, we're not. We watched it back because that's what you said when I asked you don't show my personal finances, and you did anyway.
Well, that was different.
Okay, fine. We left.
You can't keep up with all this.
Okay, and then that point about the personal finances, I think, is in relation to Trisha making money off of the coming out as transgender when she said she didn't. So all of the issues Trisha has here is Ethan exposing her lies throughout the years. That's what this is boiling down to.
I'm trying to keep up, but I understand why Trisha's upset.
Well, hold on.
Thank you. And then we laughed.
You understand why Trisha's upset, but you don't see Ethan's point of view? Yeah, right. He was a great pick to have on here. Ethan, hates 3 team, Trisha. Why'd you even bring him on?
Guess what? I was okay with it because I'm like, this is our relationship. This is what makes the show good,
Crazy.
right? You're exposing shit
Now
about
stop
me.
there. Stop with that. So you see, that's the confusing part. You signed up for this,
100%.
and it went too far.
No, but here's the thing. I'm totally fine. The minute I said something that went too far with Ethan, all of a sudden he said, you weaponize things. This is the problem with you. And I was like, what the fuck? You've been doing this for me every time I've seen you. That's all he does is expose private information about me, which, again, I signed up for. I'm okay. I literally am okay. I own up to so much awful things that I've done. It's fine by me. Truly
But not
fine
all.
by me. But the minute someone's like, wow, Trisha's crazy. Oh, Trisha did this. It happened in my last relationship. The minute I spoke up, I was uncomfortable about a threesome. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, Trish, it was a joke. Wow, okay, you did that to David and Jade. Like, I'm the person that's the villain. Oh my God, you went too far. You weaponized. This is why I'm scared for Moses to be in a relationship with you. It's like, that's our banter. That was my banter with my last relationship. That's ours, and I thought it was fine. And then, so my trigger wasn't that, and I fucked up. Like, the pill thing, I shouldn't have.
Let's find out what's going on with Ethan. Because if it really
Please,
was
Dr.
as big a
Dre.
deal as
Please.
we're making it. Was it that big a deal?
Well, clearly I didn't perceive it.
For you.
Oh, that he had like a bruise on his arm?
No, that she came out with the pill stuff.
No, it was more. I was more like shocked and surprised that she went there.
Okay. So why did you then hit her with? Hey,
You know what I mean? Like, Ethan's talking and he's just interrupting him.
You're attacking me. You're weaponizing this information.
Because
That's what triggered her.
Because.
So, now Ethan being upset that Trisha said a lie about him and trying to weaponize that, Ethan saying that he was upset by it, Dr. Dre now has a problem with Ethan saying that to Trisha because that upset Trisha. Be fucking for real, Dr. Dre. Be for real. Oh my God.
Already, she does. I mean, you do that. You don't.
Okay, so what? Okay, so fine. So what is?
He's
that?
interrupting him. He can't even speak.
Trisha, what's he talking about?
I guess.
Okay, so Dr. Dre was like, Ethan, speak. And then Ethan speaks, he speaks over him, and then Ethan's talking and he goes, okay, Trisha, tell me what's happening with Ethan. It's like making me so angry.
As that I've done exposed videos about my boyfriends in the past where it's like when I'm hurt, like I will do things to, like hurt people or whatever like that.
Okay, so stop. So that maybe is not okay, right?
I agree. I totally agree.
That's not okay. Not that it's bad or awful.
Can I interject?
Listen, hold on. That's a different issue. But hurt people, right?
Of course,
when you're hurt, it's not of course. You can deal with
Ethan, can I make a point? Dr. Dre just continues talking.
No, I go to DBT classes and stuff, so I know my issue is it's like a group therapy for
dialectical. It's called dialectical behavioral therapy, and it helps keep other people in mind when you want to do something.
Because I have a really, I can't control myself. It's almost like I black out, and like so when I get mad or upset or I felt in that position, all of a sudden I started feeling like, wow, I'm being like looked at as the villain, like I did something wrong.
Okay, so there's a lot here, right?
Yeah.
And Ethan, she's doing something active about it. She's actually getting treatment.
Yeah, no,
for
that
it.
makes me happy to hear.
So good. So I think we can move past that a little bit because that shouldn't happen as much, right?
And I do have a lot of empathy and sympathy.
So this is just like, there's no way that Ethan would come out good in any of this because he never got a chance to talk or explain. And even when Ethan would say he's upset by anything, somehow Dr. Dre brings it back to Trisha being upset, that Ethan was upset. Fuck me, did Trisha, like, pay him or give him a hand job or something before they went on this episode? Because there's no way that Dr. Dre, other than just being terrified of Trisha, is being this up her ass. Anyway, so Dr. Dre continues to interrupt Ethan so many times and speak for him and praise Trisha for just fucking talking. Ethan asks Dr. Dre if it's bad for Ethan to still feel awkward and uncomfortable that, you know, Trisha is with Moses and, you know, all the things, the exposed videos Trisha's made, and basically that when Trisha and Moses broke up, she jumped to make exposed videos on him, calling him all these really, you know, things that he could get very much so in trouble for. Dr. Drew says that that's just between Moses and Trisha and that Ethan needs to stay out of it. Trisha says that it's a problem that Ethan keeps talking about their relationship, and Ethan explains the Bachelorette series and how Trisha and Moses met, and basically says to Dr. Drew that from the start of their relationship, Moses and Trisha were lying to Ethan and Hila about dating each other, and they found out through social media, so their relationship, you know, them together with the other two, was already built on a foundation of lies. Alright. So then Trisha discusses the backlash for her DID video and how the backlash of it made her eventually troll it to death. Ethan talks about whether she, you know, did this, you know, intentionally or whether she did it trolling. And Ethan says that he doesn't agree with her getting as much criticism for the DID video as what she once did. And she also made videos like her altars and all these different things. And the only reason I'm doing this is because she's openly admitted that she was trolling when she was doing that. Trisha says that when she's trolling, it's clearly a troll, and that Ethan then asked Trisha that if there's a good thing for her if it's just any sort of attention. Like, does she get something out of it being good attention? Does she get something out of it being a bad attention? Does she just do anything for attention? And Trisha basically says that if she is lying on the internet and gets bad attention, she doesn't give a shit. But if she's telling the truth and she gets backlash, that's what hurts her. And Ethan states how Trisha's biggest moments online have been when she's been lying or trolling. So basically, Trisha openly acknowledges that she was, in fact, trolling when she did the DID thing because she got backlash for it. So that's another community, group of people she's making fun of and trying to exploit for money and at their expense of making jokes. Alright, okay, so the final timestamp to kind of end us off here is right here. It is 1 hour and 7 minutes until 1 hour and 9 minutes. Okay, here we go.
It's like Trisha's so nasty.
It felt like literally, remember that movie Cocoon? It felt like you were literally in one of those. Was that the feeling you had?
That's
like you were in a. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it literally just feels like it's like an autopilot where I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm saying. Like in the moment, I literally feel like I shouldn't be doing this. I sound like a bitch. This is not who I am, and I just like could
it's
not
like you're not even there.
This is about Trisha outbursting towards Ethan.
We're just talking to the outside of the cocoon, and it's just repeating stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
So you're going to be there again.
Well, the good news is though that I'm here now. If you have something to say.
And I loved this point by Ethan because he's saying it as a joke, but he's basically making it a point that Trisha is saying, like, almost an apology to Ethan to Dr. Drew, and he's like, I'm right here, why don't you just talk to me instead?
Dude, I said it in the video, didn't you? Pulled it up.
I didn't, well, I'm here, I don't need to watch another video.
It's such a good point.
I feel horrible. I do apologize for being so nasty, like, from the pill thing, because I know how that feels, and I apologize for trying to be tough and badass and talking about Hila and everything. I always feel bad. Like, I feel bad about it when it's not in a joking mode, when it wasn't, when you triggered me, I felt bad. When I was like, good luck trying to get your wife pregnant. Like, it was just a mean thing. I don't know what it was, and I'm sorry.
Jealousy.
I feel bad. Like, that's not me.
Thank you.
It's not the last time.
I do
not the last time you'll do it. You'll do it again.
Okay, and there's where I'm gonna end it, because that kind of just goes to show. So, Trisha apologizes to Ethan, Ethan goes to accept it or talk about it, and Dr. Dre just goes, yeah, and interrupts him. Fuck Dr. Dre. Fuck Dr. Dre. This made me really angry. I hate when people are so disrespectful of other people in conversations like this. Muckers, please let me know your opinion of this episode. It really just like grinded my gears. It made me really angry. I want to know your opinion. Let's talk about it below. Fuck Dr. Dre, but love the Muckers. Bye.